Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. Any of you that don't or can't appreciate this, just leave right now. This is Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC, recorded in 1987. One of my favorite Christmas renditions ever. Has nothing to do with this video, but you gotta start off with Christmas music. We are on our second day of our part two, I should say, of 12 Flicks of Christmas. We did Marion-Laws yesterday. Today is a movie called The Christmas Bunny. It's going to be hard for me to shout over Run DMC though, so we'll let Run and Daryl McDaniel do their thing. Okay, so here's what happened yesterday. So we went to watch a movie, Logan and I, called Christmas in Mississippi, and it was so boring. We got maybe 10-15 minutes into it, and we just stopped. He's just sighing the whole time. 17-year-olds. Okay, yeah, I got it, Logan. It's not great. Can we just watch it and give it a chance? And we did. We gave it 10-15 minutes. And part of it really is hard for me to get into a Christmas movie in the South or anywhere where there's no snow, right? So we gave that 10-15 minutes. Plus, it was just so boring. It was nice looking people and a nice looking place. And the woman's come back from wherever she was, and the main character, and she's seeing an old boyfriend, and they're probably going to get together, and they're forced to kind of work together. But there's not a lot of conflict. It's funny, I'm seeing a lot of former sitcom characters in a lot of these Christmas movies, all three that I've watched. One was, I can't remember her name, but she was kind of played the young dingy blonde on Murphy Brown. I should know her name, but she's aged really well. She's probably around my age, and she looked great. And she plays the mom of the main character. Anyway, that's 2 minutes on a movie that we didn't even watch. What did we watch? We watched a movie called The Christmas Bunny. It's very sweet, and I have a decent amount to say about it. This one also, it was fine, but it was a little more controversial, a little more conflict. Very good production value, I thought, for the most part, and was filmed in Western Michigan during the winter. There are scenes where you can actually see the people's breath, just like in Marion-Laws, where that was filmed in Canada. You can see people. It's cold. There's snow. The dad in the movie is a cross-country skier, a hobbyist, and that plays into the movie as well. So, what is the movie about generally? First of all, it has Florence Henderson. Speaking of former sitcom stars, Florence Henderson is completely frumped up in this movie. It's hilarious. She plays like her name is actually Betsy Ross, which is funny. It has nothing to do with sewing the American flag, but she cares about animals, especially rabbits. Hence the Christmas Bunny. So she plays into the movie later. But just to start the movie, this couple, the guy is out cross country skiing. They establish that's what he does. That's part of his character. He's also unemployed. He has a very nice wife. They have kind of a typical 12-year-old kid who's a pain in the ass. His name's Billy. He's kind of funny. I actually like the actor that played him. I don't know his name. However, I'm going to go back to this. The woman that played the wife, I think she's very hot, and I looked her up. She's been in a few movies. She's around my age. I couldn't even find her birthday. Her name's Madeline Vale, and the reason the funny part that came out of it, I kind of internet stalked her for a second, and it's funny because some of these descriptions, I didn't go to her net worth, but it just came up when I typed in her name, and here's the description, and what Eastern European Bulgarian guy wrote this. I love this. Madeline Vale. Madeline Vale is an entertainer who began acting at 10. Excuse me, let me try that again. It's hard to read it when it's this bad. Madeline Vale. Madeline Vale is an entertainer who began acting at 10 years old years. Madeline has composed content for films too. Vale is likewise a chief and maker for some short films or stories. Madeline is from a Hoosier and a Cuban descendant. Madeline Vale is hitched to her significant other, Edward Walton Wilcox, since August of '92, which that seems to be the only... I guess it's all accurate, sort of. But that's what comes up sometimes on the internet when you're looking at a pretty lady for a minute. I wasn't looking for nudes. I'm not a pervert, but I like dark-haired, dark-eyed women. I liked her. I thought she was a pretty good actress in the movie. So yeah, the Christmas Bunny. So here's what happens. This girl is a foster girl. She's 9 years old, and these people are foster parents. So despite the fact that the man is unemployed, and I believe she's like a housewife, the main couple, they also foster children to make money. And a little sidebar on that. A great many of the people that do work in the foster care system are awesome. A great many of them are shitty. Okay, I'm going to tell you, this is firsthand experience. I have known foster parents, and some of them are all about the paycheck. They put none of that money that they get from the government into giving shit about the kid. They do the minimal that they can, and it's horrific to watch, especially when you can't do much about it, when you're not part of that regulatory system. All you can say is, hey, these people suck. Can you keep an eye on them? And they will try, and that's about it. Let's not worry about that right now. Here's what happens. This little girl, like I said, she's 9. Her mom's terrible, and so so these people are foster parents, and she ends up with them. How does she end up with them? They show this scene that's absolutely horrific. It's a point of view scene of this little girl, and she's sitting on like a couch or a bed, or she's sitting on a bed, and you can't tell if it's like a cheap motel, if it's just a really crappy little apartment, or maybe like a trailer home. It's just, it's bad. And so she's sitting there watching TV. The mom comes in the door, and like I said, it's all a point of view shot from this little girl. Mom comes in the door. This guy's trying to bust in, not violently, but like he wants to get some tail. And she's like, no, I told you, come back in 15 minutes. I'll be right back. And he keeps trying to shove in the door. She finally gets him out. And she's like, she turns to the little girl and goes, what are you doing up? And she's like, I missed you. And the first thing they show is she slaps the girl. Now, like I said, it's point of view slap, so she kind of slaps the camera. And the little girl doesn't really do much. And she says, and the mom's like, I told you to sleep in the tub. What are you doing in the bed? Jesus Christ. And then the little girl's like, I love you. And the lady is a very generous term for this woman, collapses on the bed. The girl kind of gives her a massage. She's like, that's nice. And she passes out. You can't tell if she's dead or just passed out or asleep. And it's like a 20-second scene. It's really fast. But that's all you need to know about this little girl and how horrible her mother is. So, cut to her getting together with these parents. And she's very quiet, and she's a big Velveteen Rabbit fan, which this kind of touched my heart because I've always been I love the Velveteen Rabbit, especially in regards to Dante. He used to read it all the time. In our version of the book, he even looks like the kid on the cover, and melts my heart. So she's a big Velveteen Rabbit fan. She has a VHS of it. She plays it all the time when she gets to these people's house. It kind of is a conflict for Billy, the 12-year-old, because he wants to play his video games. They only have one TV, and he gets kind of annoyed with her. And then they go visit the man of the house. They go visit his brother Chip, and they have this absolutely monstrosity of a house. As they drive up, he's like, how many people could live here? And his wife's like, I don't know. How many people do live here? 4. Well, maybe he likes to entertain. The wife's making excuses because she knows her husband, this guy's brother, is having issues, with, what I want to call it, inferiority complex type of issues about his brother, because his brother's done really well in the mortgage game, you find out later. And he has 2 kids of his own. He has a daughter and a boy too. And the boy's Billy's age. He's like 12. He's kind of husky. He's a little fat, and he's kind of a pain in the ass too. They're not rotten kids, but they're not great kids. And of course, so it's Christmas Eve there, and they're like, oh, we're going to open our presents tonight. And they're like, yeah, we leave for like Cancun in the morning. On Christmas morning. Like, great. So they open their presents. Of course, they give the kids BB guns. Brilliant. I guess at 12 you can get those, but you better watch what these kids do. No, they don't. The kids go into their spacious backyard that folds out into the woods, and of course they shoot this bunny. It survives, and this little girl ends up taking care of it. But they broke the bunny's leg is broken, whether it was through whether it was already broken or whether it got the BB shot broke the bunny's leg. They bring it to the vet. The vet's like, not much I can do, but you can take it to this lady's house. Her name's Betsy Ross, as I mentioned earlier, played by Florence Henderson. They're, like I said, is all frumped up in the middle of Grand Rapids, Michigan farmland, in the middle of nowhere. Just says rabbits, spray painted by the front of her house. And she takes care of rabbits, and she's very gruff and upset and just not too happy, but she kind of befriends this little girl but in a very gruff manner, and they take care of the bunny and nurse it to health. And then she's this is helping open up this little girl a little bit. She still has issues. These people, the main couple, they also live in the middle of nowhere, and they kind of it's a small house, but it's a nice property, and they've built like a sledding run. The kids built a sledding run on the hill, and so they're sledding down, and they get bored. So what do? They get this girl's bunny and put it in the sled and send it down the hill, and it tumbles out. Luckily, it doesn't get hurt, but the girl just starts beating the crap out of Billy. Billy's a lot bigger because he's 3 years older, and he just laughs, and then she bites him. And so now these parents got to worry about this little girl maybe endangering their son. Everything works out, though. It's very sweet for the most part, and I think there's just enough conflict to make it a compelling story. And you care about this kid because you see that her mother's horrible. In the end, a couple things happen. The mother is supposed to come back and visit, and they're very nervous because for some reason in this story, this mother still has parental rights to this child, which maybe isn't necessarily that big of a stretch, right? Because a lot of people that are horrible parents, just because they share DNA with that child, can still get back into their lives and still be their parent and even get them to live with them. But this woman doesn't show up again. Come to find out, she passed out again or had some medical episode, and so the little girl freaks out and runs away off into the night. There's a whole search and rescue scene. This is where the guy comes in. The guy's cross-country skiing comes into play, and it's very cold. You can tell it's super cold on the set. It had to be around 10, 20 degrees because you can really see a lot of breath. So that was kind of cool. They rescue her. She ends up with the foster parents, and basically happily ever after until some kid comes, because in the meantime they had put up at the vet's office, they had put up, found bunny, because the bunny that these kids shot and they were rescuing and rabbit lady Florence Henderson was working on fixing, had a yellow ribbon around it. So it was apparently somebody's pet that wandered into the middle of the woods. And the kid and mom of this that formerly owned this rabbit come to claim it, and the girl's like, nope. And this kid's horrible. I was watching with my ex-wife and Logan, and they were more in tune to this than I was, and I should be because I work with special needs kids. But this kid's like, what's this? He's just taking shit off their mantle and just dropping it because he's a rotten kid. But they're like, this movie was done in 2010, and they're like, can't they see this kid's special needs? And I go, well, he might be, but he might just be a rotten kid. There are just rotten kids now. You don't have to diagnose everything. I think about my son. My son has real autism. I call it real autism because a lot of people are like, well, I have autism. No, you're just not good socially. That doesn't necessarily mean it. A lot of people like to self-diagnose these days, with the advent of WebMD. And I know this is becoming more of an opinion piece than an actual review of the movie at this point. But, a lot of people just have these feelings that I feel like I'm autistic. Well, why don't you go check with a doctor on that? I mean, there are mild forms of autism that people live with every day. But my kid, Dante, I call it real autism. He was nonverbal till he was 6. He was in diapers till he was 6. My ex-wife and I worked our asses off with him to be a good, decent person that now has a pretty good life. And so when we see kids that just misbehave and then hang the autism hat on that hook, we get a little upset about it. I do, especially. There's some kids I work with that have autism that are wonderful. There's some that are rotten. And I don't think autism doesn't excuse you being a little shit, okay? So when this kid, we had kind of different takes on this kid and how he acted. He may be on the spectrum, but he may also be just a little asshole. I think that's what they were trying to convey in the movie, because my Logan and Dylan were like, well, I just think they should really take it easy on this kid. And I go, I think in 2010, we're even less attuned than we are in 2021 to what special needs people are. So maybe this kid they couldn't tell. And I think they're just trying to portray him in the movie as a rotten kid. Okay, I've gone almost 15 minutes. That's a lot. It's a very sweet movie. I think it's a good one to watch. For the most part, it was a well done movie. You know, the music's appropriate, the editing's good, the writing's good, and the acting's good. It was very sweet, almost too good for me to review here. But I had to. I can't just watch a bunch of movies until there's one that's so bad I just trash it. And like I said, probably slightly better than Mary-in-Laws, but Mary-in-Laws is very entertaining. So there's part 2 of 12. This is, I guess we'll call this the Turtle Dove Day, whereas yesterday was the Partridge in a Pear Tree Day. Sorry, that's a long time to go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of opinions on it. Talk to you next time. Bye.